Hello, my creative friends, and welcome to another episode of The Daily Prompt. In this episode, I want to talk about how to get unstuck while you're trying to find your perfect idea. This episode came along because we had a couple of people that are going through the fast screenplay process right now. They've expressed to me a challenge that they're feeling a bit stuck along the way, that they're sort of going over and over these early steps that are there to help you find your idea. This is a problem that doesn't just occur within fast screenplay. This is a problem that occurs everywhere, where writers get stuck trying to find that one idea. When you recognize that it's going to take you months or years that you're going to have to invest to actually develop something legitimately viable, you create this added pressure for yourself to try to find the perfect idea so that the time that you invest in the project is going to be worthwhile. It's going to be something that time will get rewarded. The challenge, the problem is that if we fixate on trying to solve the problem of find that one perfect idea, we're going to spin over and over and over in the early parts of the process, trying to find that great idea. The one thing that I've discovered along the way, and really what makes fast screenplay unique in the industry, is that screenwriting and storytelling and creativity is not something that we get to from conscious focus. Creativity is something that is served up to us by our creative subconscious. Now, I know that sounds a little airy-fairy, it sounds a little out there. You should be able to logically think through the three-act structure or what to put where on your project, right? Scientifically, there should be some way to determine if I do this and I do this, it's going to create this output. But that's not really how art and how even the creativity, how the brain works. Much of our thinking, much of our creativity happens behind the scenes. It happens subconsciously. We're not aware of it. What we're consciously aware of it, that thing that we focus on, is a tiny little sliver of our world. And when we try to find the perfect idea or the perfect story before we begin the development process, what we're really doing is trying to solve the whole issue by that one sliver of focus. Now, the solution is to actually go through the process. The process is the process because it is the process of developing your story. One of the things that I've discovered over many, many years of teaching writers is that if we sit down and logically try to create something, it's going to be flat. It's going to be unemotional. It's going to be uninteresting because we're coming at it from the wrong approach. One of the things stories are designed to do they're designed to engage us. They're designed to give us an emotional experience. They're designed to take us on a ride. And if we ourselves, as the writers, never go there, never do the ride, then we're really trying to engineer something, and it's going to always feel a little bit mechanical. It's always going to feel a little stale and stagnant. So the key to it really is to do the steps of the process. One of the things that I was saying to one of the writers who expressed this problem, actually both of them, was that ultimately where you discover your perfect idea can be anywhere in the process. So in fast screenplay, I'll use fast screenplay as the example to help try to elucidate the problem and maybe the solution to it, whether you join fast screenplay or not. So early on in the focus phase, the story development phase, we have the first maybe 10 steps of the focus phase are really about finding your idea, figuring out what your motivation is, finding out what you're passionate about, and finding the idea that comes organically out of that. So that once we find that idea, we can really work on it, we can really sort of brainstorm it, we can take it to its logical conclusion. We can really nail down what that perfect idea would be. Now, the problem is, that is how the process works. But that doesn't mean you're going to find your idea at that point. That doesn't mean you're going to actually nail down your perfect project at that point. Because That's the beginning of the process. So now what might happen is you might find an idea that you're not sure about, you're not terribly excited about. But if you continue forward through the process, if you then take that idea and start to organically grow it and turn it into something compelling and powerful, and we introduce more ideas, we talk about character, we talk about conflict, we talk about subplot, we talk about all the different elements of story. If, as you're going through the process of exploring that story idea, that imperfect story idea, what will happen along the way is something will come up from your creative subconscious that will nag at you, that will tell you, hey, here's the perfect idea, or this isn't the right direction to go. And then you course correct. And by course correcting, you get closer to your perfect idea. So one of two things will happen. Either as you go through the process, bang, spontaneously, just like from the heavens somewhere, you're going to get this perfect idea, this idea that's well beyond anything that you would have imagined had you just simply done the exercises. Or as you go through the process, you'll go down an alley and you'll go, wait, this isn't the alley I want to go down. What if we instead go down this alley? You'll basically iterate to find better ideas, to find better versions of the project that you're working on. Now, it can feel like this is a big waste of time. It can feel like I didn't set out with my very best idea, that idea that gave me the butterflies, the passion, the excitement, right? But writing is a process of discovery. It really is a process wherein we find what we're trying to say. Sometimes our brains can't simply put it in perfect form. And so by going through the process, that's how we bring it to the surface. That's how we discover the very thing. Now, here's the challenge. You can create a story and still not be 100% with it. And it's not until you write a first draft, until you start rewriting the draft, until you rewrite and polish, maybe you get feedback, and maybe it's not until you get that piece of feedback that goes, oh, I know what I want to make now. Now I understand what I'm trying to get and what I'm trying to drive at. Now, the way Fast Screenplay works is it guides you through that process, right? So the point being, by guiding you through that process, if in the story development phase, if in the rewriting phase, if in the polishing phase, if in the feedback phase, if in connecting with the producer phase, at any point along the way, you suddenly get that flash of inspiration, you get that insight, you go, I know now what it is. Well, now that you've been through that process, you can simply go through and fly through that process on the next project. So in that way, we're using going through the process as a way to find your stories. It's not always going to happen the first time around. It's not always going to happen the 10th time around. Every story idea is going to be unique, and it's not going to be something that you're going to find necessarily logically. Now, you might simply go through the steps and bang, you found it, and bang, you grow it, and bang, you fine tune it, and you write it, and you rewrite it, and you polish it, and it's just extraordinary every step of the way. That is entirely possible. But if it doesn't happen that way, you can't start beating yourself up. You can't get frustrated at, I don't have the perfect idea. I have seen more writers over more years give up because they can't find that perfect idea, but all they're doing is trying to sit there and find their perfect idea, find their perfect idea, find their perfect idea. Maybe the way you find it is by exploring subplot, is by exploring your character opposition, is by exploring tension or pacing or all the hundreds of things that we explore along the way. So in that way, really, writing is this journey. And if you think of it as a journey, it's okay if it starts imperfect. One of the greatest things about writing, one of the things that makes writing so enjoyable for those who enjoy it, so inherently doable, is that your first draft, is that your first iterations, is that the start of the process can be ugly. It can be a mess. It can totally not work. And yet through that, you can discover what will work. You can discover how to succeed. You can discover how to iterate from where you started. If you have a really lame, thin, flat, nothing to it story at the beginning, and there's just nothing there. But as you go through those steps, you start to discover a new layer and you rethink your project with the new layer. Well, that's how you grow and expand it. And in the process of growing and expanding it, that's where the new ideas come from. And it's only by experiencing those new ideas that you're going to find what you would currently, where you're stuck, describe as the perfect idea. The perfect idea comes from the process. The perfect idea comes through experience. If you're a writer that has never actually written a script that has gone on to get produced, and I'm talking to 99% of the people who would watch this video. If you're writing something if none of your writing has gone on to be produced, you'll never have the experience, the insights, the mental connections. Your brain won't be able to do that background work to discover the ideas that come out of the lessons found in the production part of the process. So all of that whole world is unavailable to you if you stay stuck over here. I tell the writers that are going through Fast Screenplay all the time, and they don't listen all the time. I say, don't worry about it. Keep moving forward. It doesn't matter if what you're writing today sucks. It doesn't matter if what you're writing today is the worst writing on the planet. If you keep moving forward, if you keep taking action, if you keep going through the process, the complete process, if you keep going through it, you will discover what you're trying to say, and you will discover how to say it effectively. That's what the process is about. And that's different. That's what's different about what I do versus what kind of everybody else does. Most people who teach screenwriting are focused on story structure and what to put where in your story and how to create that character that's going to do that and all. That's the mechanics. That's the technique. We have all the technique in the system, but it's not the technique that's going to get you there. That's a logic-based approach to getting there. When you watch all those YouTube videos and they give you 10 tips on how to improve this and that and all, like, that's technique-based stuff. That's not process-based stuff. And the only way that you're going to find the truly great stuff, what you're capable of writing, what you want to write, what you're passionate about writing, the only way you're going to get there is by taking action. So that what you pour out onto the page at first, that is not what you want to put into the world, will show you what you do want to put into the world. Think of it like that. You make a bad batch of eggs and you go, okay, well, the problem was that that I had the heat too high or something, right? So then the next time you drop the heat a little bit and you make a better batch of eggs. So it's a bit like that. If you're never willing to risk that first batch of eggs, you're never going to get to the better batch of eggs because you're not going to understand it in a tactile way. You're not going to understand it intuitively, intrinsically, viscerally. And that's what the process is about. That's what a process-based approach to the process, to creativity and screenwriting is really all about. And that's what Fast Screenplay is all about. That's different to everything else that's out there, and why it's not in competition with anything else that's out there, because everything else, all the techniques that you learn from anywhere can be dropped right into the process. So it'll help. You'll have more techniques and more tools to help you through the process, but you really have to do the process. And again, whether you join me and you do it through the system that I built, or you develop your own process along the way, as long as you cover every gap and you make sure to do the complete process, you can do it on your own, absolutely. But it's really about moving through that, moving forward through that, and not getting stuck at any point along the way. So hopefully this makes sense. Hopefully this helps you. At the end of the day, there's nothing worse than watching a writer get stuck, because when you get stuck, that's when you go over and over, and that's when you start to get more and more dispirited. When you start off with something with passion, if you spiral at some point, the passion will inevitably wear off because you're not seeing any progress. And if you don't see any progress, as that passion wears off and dissipates, eventually it gets supplanted, replaced by bitterness and despair and anger and frustration, and that is the death knell to creativity. As soon as you start feeling like, I gotta get somewhere, I gotta create something great, I'm stupid for not being able to create something great right out of the gate. As soon as you turn in on your own self, on your own creative source, it's not going to create. We create spontaneously. We create intuitively. We have to have a system. We have to have a process, not a system necessarily. I recommend it, but we need to have a process that will enable us to tap into our own unique, intuitive sense of creativity. And that's what I do. That's what I'm about. That's what I try to focus on building. So hopefully this helps. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to pop them in the comments below. I do want to do some more Q&A stuff. So ask questions about any aspect of screenwriting, about all the technique-based stuff, all the process-based stuff, about the industry, whatever you want to know. Pop it in the comments below. I'll do a Q&A, start doing some more Q&As in the weeks ahead. So make sure to turn this into a daily prompt for you. Remember, to go through the process, you have to actually take action. And the reason that FAST is 1 step per day, 5 steps per week, is because the whole idea is we want to get you into a consistent rhythm. It's the rhythm of the daily ongoing action that's going to train your creative subconscious to develop material on its own, to serve up those good ideas. And you're going to be doing more. So you're going to be sparking ideas in your head more. So it's essential to take action every day, or at least five days a week is what I've found to be the case. It's essential to keep taking action no matter how little that action might be, whether it's 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever you can afford to do, take action, keep moving forward. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next episode.